Welcome to the AxeCast podcast. Conversations with interesting people from the world of Acadia athletics and more, talking about their lives, successes, and failures. And now let's join hosts Len, Holly, and Eric Cedarberg for the next 15 to 20 minutes as they dive into the life of today's guest.
This week on the AxeCast, one of the most dominating hockey programs of the 90s came from Acadia University. The men's hockey program won a national championship in 1993 and again in 1996. Two members of the 93 team joined me. He was a power forward in the conference and, of course, helped Acadia to that first national championship, Colin Gregor. And the guy that backstopped everything between the pipes, no, it's not Uncle Jesse from the Dukes of Hazzards, it's Dennis Sproxton.
Thanks, man.
Listen, guys, we're gonna have a few laughs. I think through this whole thing, but you know what? I started this whole thing off by saying that Acadia was one of the most dominant men's hockey programs. You know, it was funny. Like not long ago, I was thinking about the first appearance by Acadia in the Nationals was 1992, and of course, won it in 93, went back in 94, won it in 96, back in 98. This program, honestly, probably could have won 3 or 4 national championships in the 1990s. Colin, you were a big part of that. You know, with the program. Just your thoughts.
Well, you know, geez, when you say it like that, we definitely could have won. I mean, I'm sure Dennis would agree with me here. We certainly could have won back-to-back 92, 93. We had some tough breaks with suspensions and whatnot in 92. I mean, but, you know, it just made it all the sweeter in 93. But you're right. I mean, when you think about that, what could have been, I'm just glad we won too, right? I mean, hey, the 93 and 97, that's awesome. We got 2, but you're right. There could have been a few more easily. And that was a hell of a good team. Oh my God. And, you know, we still keep in touch. We just had Dennis's 50th birthday here a couple months ago. So, I mean, that's how old we're getting, but yeah, it's
only 50.
And trust me, Dennis is way better today than he was in 93. Just ask him. So.
Oh, Sproxy, you know what? Like,
it's funny on that note, Matt.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, Knopper said we would have had 3 championships if it wasn't for our goaltending.
We're not here to throw anybody under the bus, but if you're going to do it to yourself, go ahead. I mean, you guys arrive in the early 90s. The hockey program moves from the old Ice Palace into Acadia Arena, as it was known then, in 1988. And you could sort of see the rise of the program. Did you get a sense, Proxy, when you arrived here from out west, that this was a special program to be part of in your university career?
Oh, 100%. And like for me, from being out west, it was, Tom Coolen, Colin, and actually a couple of players, Kevin Knopp, Milan Dragicevic, phoned. They were already had done their rookie season. So they convinced me to come. This was a special place. And then upon arriving at the coop, living at the coop, the flies everywhere. But yeah, after that, it was every moment was special and lucky and otherwise. And yeah, no, it had that special feel for sure right from the get-go.
Well, when you arrived at Acadia and you looked around the locker room, you know, who were some of the guys you reflect on and say, you know what, these are guys who are pretty special. I mean, obviously you two are pretty special to the program, but when you look around that room, it was a pretty deep program.
Well, for sure. You can't win. I don't care what league it is or what level of sport, what sport it is. You have to have a bunch of good players. You can't win in hockey, as we all know, is one of the ultimate team sports. You can't win with, you need a whole, it's not basketball, right? Where you got 5, you need a team. And we were deep, man. I mean, you look at the depth, the goaltending, I mean, 6D that could all play, 4 lines that can play. And you start flipping a coin, you go down the list of some of the guys on the so-called upper lines, Normie and, Dupont and Dwayne Dennis and Suddy and, Derek Kletzel on your so-called third line, who was a 100-point scorer in junior. I mean, we just had, you know, a lot of weapons and a lot of, you know, and just the style of game as well. I mean, we could play any way. I mean, that big rink, you know, the ice surface, we had a fast team. You know, we had a lot of guys that could really move, but we also had a physical team. So whatever style game dictated, we could play. You know, we could play smash mouth hockey. We could play high scoring hockey. We could play any way you wanted to play. So it was a lot of fun for sure, and some unbelievable players.
You know, when I think about the 80s and the Edmonton Oilers, I mean, they would run and gun, beat teams 10-8 on most nights. And, you know, they had to learn how to play defense. And, you know, when you look back at those first few years trying to figure it all out, there are some comparisons, you know, at the university level. You guys were a run and gun team that could put up, you know, 8 or 10 goals in any given night. You know, when through that whole process of building toward 93, did you guys sort of say, you know what, we've got this figured out and now we know how to win?
Go ahead, Dennis.
Well, yeah, for me it was, and you're exactly right, Len. Like thinking of Grant Fuhr and his comments in the 80s was, as a goaltender, I just got to make that last save. If we win 6-5, that's okay. It's a win. If we win 8-6, it's a win. It doesn't matter if I'm out and I turn the puck over in the corner 3 times in that game and give up 3 poor goals, but we win 7-6. We still win. My goals against average doesn't matter. And I honestly felt that way. And I believed we would always score. We could always, like, geez, we had so much talent. We could always score enough goals. So I just had to kind of make sure, for me, it was make the save at the right time. And sometimes that was maybe late in the third. Sometimes it was in the first. Sometimes I didn't have to do much at all. But that was the feeling I had. And like even by probably December, January, like halfway through the season, I thought, okay, we got something special here.
You know, that's a good point, Dennis. And as a player, and, you know, anyone who's played hockey before, when you're a player, you know, I'm not talking goalie, when when you have a goalie in the net that you have a lot of confidence in, you can go out there and do whatever you want to do. It's just a great feeling. And we had that in the net. Like we knew that Sproxy would give us a save when we needed a save. You know what I mean? And so that created a lot of confidence in the group. And another thing for me about 93, that you know, the fact that we went there in 92 and lost, I think a lot of guys, I know myself, I know I was incredibly motivated personally because I didn't even get to play in 92. And I know same with McFarland, same with Sean Rutherford, the guys that couldn't play, that was a sickening feeling. But to go back as a group in 93, like we were on a mission from that opening night of the next season to get back there and to win. It didn't matter, like Dennis said, it didn't matter. We just wanted to win every night, period. Didn't matter the score, didn't matter who we're playing. You know, we wanted to have a good time after we won as well. I think that was, you know, we played hard and we had a lot of fun after, you know, and we had a lot of game celebrations, you know, that lasted a couple days sometimes. And of course, the 93 win was unbelievable. So it was worth all the effort. And the other thing I'll throw in, Len, is even that group, that team practiced hard. Like, you know what I mean? With the exception of Paul Sutcliffe, everybody practiced hard.
I was just going to plug Seti too, Gracie. Oh, geez.
And I love that.
Because I think we were down 2-0 in the 93, 2-1, 3-1 or 2-0 in the 93 game. And I remember making a couple saves, and Seti took the puck from a rebound. What he was doing that close to my net, I don't know, but he grabbed the puck, took it end to end, and scored. And from that point on, that game changed. And then the result, again, this is against U of A in the first game.
Yeah.
The 9-3 or 9-4 win. And that was a changing point, and then it was all over after that.
You know, that 93 game, you win, obviously, one of the most lopsided, you know, University Cup finals ever, 12-1 over the University of Toronto. Did you guys have a sense going into that game against the Varsity Blues that there was that much of a lopsided, or it was that lopsided between the two programs?
You know what? I honestly don't think there was a question in anyone's mind that we were going to win. I don't think anyone would have said we're going to beat them 12-1. That never came into play, to be honest. From my perspective, I just know that, as you know, Coolen always started me and Normie and Rowe almost every game, and I know that I was out there for one reason, and that's to get out there and get some momentum early and hit everything that moved in the first shift. And from that, it was just another game. I don't think we took them lightly at any. I mean, the fact we just kept going, the guys were fired up. We wanted to play hard for 60 minutes, and the score just got higher and higher. But I don't think we went in thinking we were going to, steamroll them 12-1. In my opinion, what did you think, Dennis?
Yeah, I agree. I think we felt confident. We were very confident going into that game, and we knew we were the better team. And I think we just trusted that fact. And with all the escapades beforehand, I don't know if that, I didn't even think of any of that stuff. I didn't even realize half of it till a Drago sent out the video of the hockey game on WhatsApp here maybe a month or two ago. So I actually watched some of the stuff on the TSN news clips and whatnot. I was like, what the heck? I didn't know that. Anyway, no, I didn't expect to beat them like that for sure. But I did feel the confidence in our group that it was going to be a win.
Yeah.
You know what? I've said this for years, and having had the privilege of calling that game on radio at Maple Leaf Gardens, I thought 12-1 was kind to the University of Toronto. And if you'll remember, their goaltender, I thought, stood on his head. I mean, the kid faced over 50 shots, and if not for him, it's 17 or 18-1.
You could definitely feel we had, like Dennis said, we were confident. But I don't think we went into the game thinking we beat him 12-1. But like you said, we went in confident and we went in hard. Like we had the pedal down every shift. There was no that joke I made about Suddy, practicing hard. Like everybody on our team showed up at games and they played hard. Period.
Burns, you get the game winner.
you knew, Sproxy, you were going to win for sure when Burns scores.
Oh man!
Yeah.
See, the celebration was the best ever. Yeah. You gotta watch it.
You can't talk about this hockey program without talking about Coach Coolen. I mean, he was the guy that built this program in the late 80s and early 90s to win the championship. And you know what? There were knocks against Coolen in the first few years. A lot of people said he was a great recruiter, but he couldn't coach. Well, he proved everybody wrong. But you know what? I've always said that it's more challenging to coach a team that's got so much talent versus bringing a bunch of guys in, sort of a lunch bucket crew that you're going to, you just have that work ethic and, you build it up. Just give us some reflections on Tommy and what he did for the program.
Well, from my perspective, being a coach myself and looking back 27 years ago now, I'm sure, Dennis, back when we were playing, I certainly had my fill of coaches that I didn't like. And, the delicate part of coaching is Tom he was a hell of a recruiter, but he was a good coach from the perspective that, he was a guy you really wanted to play for. He was almost like one of the guys, but he was the coach, but he was fantastic at that. If we had had a hard ass coach, or if we had had a typical coach from the 90s that were going on our guys, it wouldn't have worked because we had too many strong characters that, that would just said, F off or whatever. But Tommy was great. From my perspective, was a perfect guy for that coach for the team we had, because we had so many characters and we had so many different personalities that, Tommy he kind of had a steady hand and he kept things light. And when he ever did try to get mad, which wasn't too often, I mean, we didn't lose many games, but whenever he did, I remember him wanting to remember that story Dennis would do when he lost it during practice. He comes over to the boards and slamming the stick and down he goes. He was just a character. He kept things light. And he was, after you played major junior, which most of us did, you go through 4. But juniors are a lot more of a stressful environment. Coaches were, in general, pretty tough on players. But Tommy was kind of a breath of fresh air. He really was, and he let the horses run. And I don't know, I got lots of time for Tommy. He was certainly a character. He was fun to play for.
Sproxy, look, every time I meet with alumni, I was going to say somebody's got a Coolen story. Sproxy, you got to take us in the locker room over you got to tell us one Coolen story that'll get people chuckling.
No, this is for Gregor. I'll save that for Gregor. But I will touch on what Gregor said, that Coolen was the right coach for our group, and Gregor said it very well. If it was a hard-nosed coach, we wouldn't have had the success. If it was somebody who we didn't feel comfortable with, we wouldn't have had that success. He was the right person for us, and that's why we had so much success over those years. But Gregor's a better storyteller. I don't have any specific. There's so many Coolen stories. Let Gregor tell one. Let him get in trouble. Yeah.
Well, I'll just maybe the one that I can think of was there's several from him singing, sweet swing low, sweet chariot on the bus, like Drago would get at him and Nopper would get going, and then Coolen would do his rendition. You remember him on the bus? Oh my God, Deucer, that was funny, Lenny. But the one at practice, it was funny. The one that I think of, because it was a power play or something. We were running a drill and things were going well, and I'm sitting there on the bench, and one of the lines were out there, and I'm pretty sure it was a power play drill, and someone snaps the puck back to Normie, and it goes over his stick, and Coolen just lost it. And I'm sitting on the bench, and me and Dwayne Dennis and Brent Presswood. Do you remember Pressy? Brent Presswood's there, right? And God bless Brent Presswood, right? We're just watching the game, and Coolen was, and Presswood, like, I kind of started laughing because Coolen was starting to lose it a little bit. We were kind of chuckling, and Tommy, he comes sprinting over the boards, and he had his stick, and he's got it choked up like this. You guys think that's friggin' funny? You'll never play again, Presswood. And he comes to slam his stick on the wall, and he wipes right out. We see his stick flying, and his skates are up over the bench, and we're just howling. And poor old Presswood, who barely even dress some nights, coaches, he's ranking on Presswood. I felt bad for Presswood.
I remember Presswood coming back to the coop and saying, "I'm never going to play again."
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, if you think that's funny, Presswood, you'll never play again. And like Presswood, he was kind of shaken up a little out of that, but it was, that was, but how many times, Len, I'm sure you guys have heard the stories where Coolen would come out after practice some days, and, or we would be right after practice, and he'd be kind of circling the parking lot. And like, what the hell's Tommy doing out there? He could never remember where he parked his orange BMW. Like, how could you misplace what are you doing? Oh yeah. Hey, Colin, don't worry about it. Like, he couldn't remember where he parked his car sometimes, right?
The one thing that stands out to me, looking back at rosters back then and rosters now, you're not playing university hockey unless you're from a major junior team, but your roster back then had a spattering of guys. I mean, I think Dupont and Dwayne Dennis, I don't think they played major junior. There was a good collection of them on the team too. And you had seemed like a lot of guys from, the Western Hockey League, and then just kind of a spattering of guys that, didn't make major junior, but sure as hell played an important role in your team.
You know what? That's a good point, Eric.
And that was probably. Go ahead, Griggsy.
No, go ahead, Dennis. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, like, that's a great point, and that's where you got to give Coolen some credit too on maybe the recruiting side, and knowing where the players like Sean Rowe and just coming out of Mark McFarland, coming out of maybe junior A or major junior, but not playing a 20-year-old season kind of a thing, and knowing their uptake, their uptick, where they're going, and knowing they're still getting better and better and better, even though they're into their 20, 21 years of age, they're on the right track. And like, like how many guys went on to play pro hockey still, like, it was like we just kept getting better and better during Acadia and moving forward. So there was a lot of guys, I think, that were just on their uptick, and that's where Tommy got those right guys for our group for sure.
Want to talk a little bit about, oh, sorry, Greg's, go ahead.
No, I was just going to totally agree. It's a good point by Eric, but yeah, give Tommy Coolen a ton of credit. He was a hell of a recruiter. He really was. And I think he did prove to be a good coach, as you talked about earlier, Len. So yeah, Tommy was great.
Sort of jump in and talk about post Acadia here in just a moment, but the one thing that I want you guys to reflect on, and it's a question that I get quite a bit, having covered Acadia for a little over 30 years, is what's the greatest hockey game that I've ever watched? And, all the success of the 90s and, winning it against the University of Toronto, what happened. I always tell people that the 93 trip to the University of Maine against the Black Bears in the fall was the greatest university hockey game I ever watched. It was Acadia and Maine. Maine has Paul Kariya and I think 6 or 7 NHL draft picks, a 4-4 tie. Sproxton, you stood on your head that night. I'll start with you. Just some reflections of going to the Alfond Arena in Maine and playing that powerhouse hockey team.
Oh, what an experience. Sold out barn, maybe 4,000 or 5,000, can't remember. But a sold out rink. They had the band playing in the background. And yeah, absolutely a great experience. And then playing against Paul Kariya was kind of cool. The sad thing I do recall was maybe a 4-3, 4-4 goal, little wraparound. You don't let in wraparounds. But it was Paul Kariya going wide on Milan Dragicevic. And if we remember Milan, he wasn't the best at turning to his right to kind of catch Paul Kariya, like as if he's going to catch him, right? And then he went around the net and scored a wraparound goal on me. And I don't know if that was a 4-3 goal or the 4-4 goal, but yeah, we were up 4-2 with maybe 5 minutes left when we probably should have won with the save there. But yeah, truly was a great hockey game. And for me, that was, yeah, one of the best college experiences for sure.
Yeah, no, that's all. I didn't play there. I had left that season before, but I'd heard about that game in talking to the guys, and they said it was a hell of a hockey game, Len. So I wish I was there.
Yeah, it was, again, I always say best hockey game. Look, you guys.
The bus ride home was okay too.
I do recall a bus getting stopped at the border for a few hours.
Yeah. Yeah, I think like half a day we sat at the border. Oh, man.
All right,
seemed to be a common theme. Like every time you guys went to Maine, it was always having it stuck at the border.
Yeah.
Let's put it to you this way, Sydney. All the stuff that was coming off the bus, it looked like
a here. Oh, sorry.
Well, between that, Sproxy, and the electronics, it looked like a Radio Shack yard sale. The stuff that was coming off the bus.
Yeah. Oh, man. Yeah. Good times.
All right. Acadia. Roxy, you leave Acadia and you've had connections to female hockey, NHL scout. Just give us a sense of life for you since Acadia.
Since Acadia was still tried to play a year pro hockey, minor pro, and then got into coaching pretty much there afterwards in Spokane in the Western Hockey League, and had 10 years there as a goalie coach and scout, and fortunate enough to win a Memorial Cup with that team. And during that time, this is kind of 2001 to 2010, was working with the national women's team as a goaltender coach as well. Experienced the Olympics in Torino and winning a gold medal there, and that was a cool experience from a coaching side as well. And then I was fortunate enough here the last few years to be scouting with Vegas of the NHL, and as a goaltender scout, and particularly a Western Hockey League goaltender scout, working with Vegas. So that's the hockey side, and I've had a painting business and a hearing loop business. Don't ask about that. Lots of entrepreneur stuff going on the side always, and enjoying family life here now.
Right on. And Greg's, for you, post Acadia, what's life been like for you?
No complaints. I mean, it's not as colorful on the hockey side, and it's amazing how some of those players there's a lot of coaches and scouts, right, from that 93 team that are involved in hockey at a high level. I was able to do a lot of coaching primarily with my kids. I coached up the Bantam triple and I've coached some midget and stuff, but I had a lot of fun with that and then just watching my kids play. So and my nephews and following, all the guys on the team that had sons or daughters are playing. I keep in touch with Normie and Drago and Burnsy. So it's so nice to see. So my involvement with the game has been more as an observer over the last, I feel like a scout, although I'm not a scout. I just love to watch my kids play, and again, watch anybody that I know play. I really enjoy it. But from a business, I got into business after graduation and played a couple of years of minor pro hockey, and then got into business. And I've been basically working for engineering firms for 23, 24 years, and currently work for it's the largest engineering firm in Canada. It's called WSP. They had bought our business in 2014. So from the business side, and my kids are growing up as we Lenny, I know your kids are getting older, and so it's been great. I've been blessed to have a pretty good life to this point.
I was going to say we're starting to creep towards an anniversary, 93, 2023. I'm thinking 30 years. Are you kidding me? And it's kind of scary, but I'm sure you guys, I don't doubt there'll be a reunion in Wolfville in 2023. So hopefully I look forward to it. I mean, when you guys are playing, I was a student. Well, I don't know if I was a student. I don't even know if I was an athlete, but I was there. But I look forward to that in 2023.
Oh, for sure. Well, I know we've
Well,
already
we
been.
still talked about. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, yeah, no, for sure, Eric, there'll be a 30-year reunion for sure. Whether, we've kicked around a few ideas. We did a 10, we did a 20, 25, and there'll definitely be a 30.
My buddies always say, "Are you having another Acadia reunion party this year?" Like,
I'd be
you do
remiss
one every
for not
year.
even, 'cause
Go out golfing, you go out to different events, alumni this, alumni that. So, yeah.
Every 5 years.
We're due for another reunion.
Lenny, you with us?
No, it'll be fun. And you know what? Yeah, I'm right here, and I'd be remiss for not mentioning, because Colin mentioned family and everything. The hockey DNA runs deep with that 93 team. Greg's your young fellow, Noah. Watched him at the Mem Cup in Halifax a couple of years ago. I thought he was one of the best forwards in that tournament. Of course, he's played in the NHL with San Jose. And you got Normie's kid, Drake, that's played with the Ottawa Senators and heading back there to camp if he's not there already. Burnsy's young fellow, Brady's playing the Q. Jeff McLeod's young fellow's playing the Q. So the hockey DNA runs deep from that team.
Oh, it does. And there's Drago's son's going to play in the Western League. He's a young fellow. He's 15 years old, but he'll be playing in the Western League. So yeah, I know Normie's daughter's a real good hockey player as well. So, it's amazing when you think about it. And I suppose the old saying, sometimes the apple doesn't fall too far from the tree. So obviously, some of these, some of our kids, it's funny. If my kids didn't want to play hockey, I'd have been fine with that. But, they seem to really enjoy it. And yeah, it's a thrill to follow all these young guys, and God, I hope they can, play pro hockey for many more years. You know what I mean? Whether it's overseas, whether it's the American League, the NHL, whatever, if you're getting paid to play, that's a pretty good deal.
Yeah, I know. Sproxy, how many kids do you have?
2, 25 and 10. And the 10-year-old, she loves football, says he. He said, "Let's go play football, Daddy. Catch, football.
Nice.
Well, I don't know anything about football." Yeah. Lots of
Well,
fun.
listen, boys, this has been a lot of fun doing this. Holy cow! And we could, if we could do this for hours. And the only thing that would have maybe made this better is have Bernsey on here chirping Sproxy for a little while.
Oh, you got to get those two together. Get them on together, Len. Yeah. You don't even need to facilitate anything. They'll just start chirping.
Yeah, we need like a 4-hour segment of Bernsey stories.
Or 5
Or
episodes.
Bernsey Doozer stories.
Yeah.
Well, boys, this has been a lot of fun. Really appreciate you sort of reliving the memories of the hockey program, especially 1993. And wish you guys and your family all the best. Thanks for doing this. Sproxy, say hi to Bo and Luke Duke. And Greg's, thanks very much for doing this, guys. All the best.
Thanks so much, Len and Eric. And I talked to Ducey lots, but thanks so much, guys. It's have a wonderful Christmas and enjoy. Hopefully 2021 will be a better year.